police there arrested 3 senior players from an A-League team in the southwest of Sydney. Police have charged those 3 players with participating in a criminal group. They have also charged them for engaging in conduct that corrupted a betting outcome from a game that occurred in December 2023. We will allege that those players intentionally gave out yellow cards in the receipt and for the purpose of a corrupt payment. Police have also charged the senior leader of that football criminal group with a further charge of engaging in conduct that corrupted a betting outcome for another game in November 2023. There is currently one further player that police wish to interview who is currently out of the state. In the coming days, we are hoping that player returns to our state or we will be seeking his extradition. Police will allege that the senior member of this criminal football group paid the junior players within that group up to $10,000 for intentionally giving away those yellow cards and receiving penalties during those games. Police will allege that that senior figure within that criminal group was acting under the instruction and direction of an organised crime figure currently offshore in South America. All sports fans understand that even one penalty can change the way a game flows and also the way the momentum of that game can be carried out. We will allege that the giving out of 4 yellow cards and the subsequent penalties that arose out of those yellow cards could in fact change the way that result of that game went. And whilst $10,000 may seem a lot of money to a young sports person, we will advise that is incredibly insignificant when you consider the damage that being charged with this offence and convicted will result in the damage to that young person's reputation, the damage to their club and their code's reputation, their livelihood and their future livelihood and the effect by being involved in these criminal acts. But more importantly, it affects the confidence and trust that their supporters have in these young sports people, that they will always play to the best of their ability. And we will allege that these incidents in November and December 2023, that these players betrayed the trust of their supporters and the code they supposedly love. I want to make it clear that the Organised Crime Squad is currently undertaking a number of investigations into corruption involving sports betting. These arrests should be a clear warning to young people and young sports people who are either engaging or considering becoming engaged in corruption within the sport, that the consequences that will arise out of them being identified in these criminal acts will potentially destroy their careers and their reputations for life. I wish to congratulate Detective Superintendent Foe and the Organised Crime Squad for the work they've undertaken. I'll now hand over to Detective Foe, who will have more details in regards to the arrests.
Thank you, Assistant Commissioner. As the Assistant Commissioner said, my name's Peter Foe. I'm the Detective Superintendent in charge of the Organised Crime Squad. Within my command, I have a section which looks specifically at this crime type called the gaming unit. In December of last year, in consultation with the United Kingdom Gambling Commission and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, we commenced Strike Force Beacon View which was an investigation into what we believe was a manipulation of events or incidents within A-League soccer games, and then the illegal gambling around those events or incidents that took place in specific games. Between November and May of this year, we're alleging that a senior player within an A-League team was in communication with a South American person offshore, who we're referring to as a controller or coordinator, and that person was requesting that senior member of an A-League team to ensure that certain events occurred within games to permit illegal gambling on those events occurring. We're further alleging that that senior player within that team then recruited several other members of their team to ensure other acts or incidents occurred within specific games, allowing the illegal gambling of those incidents or events that occurred within the game. As a result, this morning, in the early hours of the morning, we executed 5 search warrants around Sydney, at which point we arrested 3 males. Those 3 males are currently at police stations around Sydney, and they're being offered the opportunity to be interviewed, and they will be charged with the offences outlined by Assistant Commissioner Fitzgerald, ranging from engaging in conduct that corrupts betting outcome of events, facilitating conduct that corrupts betting outcomes of events, and participating in criminal groups. As Mr Fitzgerald said, it's extremely unfortunate that the actions of only several people have severely damaged the integrity of a game that so many people around the world love and so many people are passionate about. These people are fortunate to be in a position where they're, in some cases, paid a lot of money to do something they love, and unfortunately their actions, they've taken advantage of that position and brought down the integrity of not only themselves and the club that they play for, but unfortunately the sport. I just want to make it clear that there's no other evidence or indication at this time that any other club within the A-League is involved. However, we're continuing our investigation at this time in relation to these people that we have in custody at the moment. Thank you.
Questions?
Are we looking to put more charges on the 3 existing players that are currently placed in custody, or is it just the charges that were detailed?
At this stage, it's just the charges we've detailed, but as you can imagine, there's a lot of data and analysis for us to look into in relation to all games that these people have been involved in and all betting around the world, where there's thousands of betting agencies that would bet on this type of event.
Sorry. I just confirmed they have been charged.
They're at police stations at the moment. I can't say that they've been charged, but they will be charged this morning, yes.
Peter, you were saying you weren't looking into any other clubs. Are there potentially other players at Macarthur FC that could be questioned and potentially charged?
So there's 3 that are at police stations as we speak now. There is definitely one other player that we will be approaching and charging at some stage. And however, we're continuing to look at any betting or potentially corrupt activity around those games.
You're mentioning as well, you've sort of had potentially a tip, or at least help from the UK. What is their link? Is that potentially a player that used to play overseas? No,
not at all. That's in relation to suspicious betting on games. And we're working with a number of agencies around the world in relation to now analysing the data on games that these players have played in and betting around those games.
Do we have any idea as to why the captain was engaged in this? Was he being threatened by that man from South America or anything? Look,
I'm not going to say that it's the captain. I can't confirm or deny that. However, there's nothing to indicate that there was, in our investigation, that this person was being threatened in any way. And as I said, the investigation's ongoing.
So when did police first become aware, and what was the initial piece of information that did spark that investigation?
this investigation initiated from suspicious betting activity offshore. I also want to make that clear that we haven't identified any betting actually within Australia at this stage. All the betting has been offshore, predominantly in South America.
Is there a dollar figure on any suspicious bets on the matches that have been charged?
Yeah, look, at this stage, we can conclusively say, and we're alleging, that there's, in relation to one of the matches, there's multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars being paid out in respect to the game that we're alleging that this occurred in. But as I said, there's numerous data to look at around the world in terms of all betting agencies.
With that fourth player, can you share ages?
That fourth player is still outstanding, so I don't want to share anything in relation to their identity, but we're hoping to speak to that person in the near future.
You said the junior players were paid $10,000 from that senior club figure. Do we know how much the senior club figure got?
The senior player, we're unsure at this stage what the payments were to him. However, yet again, we're engaging with a number of offshore or international agencies in terms of trying to collate that sort of information.
So, Peter, this group from South America, is this a gang? Is this some sort of betting ring? Do we know much about that?
Unfortunately, we don't know too much at this stage. However, it's obviously a coordinated effort, so we would say that it's some sort of organised crime network that's facilitating this and coordinating it.
You established the strike force back in December. Essentially, there were failed attempts to engage in this conduct again in April and May. Were you kind of just sitting and watching them attempt again, or? No,
well, unfortunately, in terms of proving the offences, there is certain elements of these offences that we have to prove. We have to prove the movement of money. We have to prove that bets took place on the games. And as I said, you can imagine the amount of data out there around that in terms of betting agencies around the world. So we were still analysing our evidence and trying to collate further evidence before we acted.
But those matches in April and May where they were unsuccessful, why and how were they unsuccessful?
For unforeseen circumstances in relation to the people that were proposing to carry out these incidents in the game. I can't really go into them too much at this stage.
Those details will come out as the evidence goes through.
And sorry, when and where do you expect these men will face court?
They will probably be bailed today, be given police bail, and then they'll be bailed to a court in the near future within the next month.
Michael, just one for yourself. It's a bit worrying to see international sort of criminal groups targeting Australia.
100%. Any influence from whether they're crime figures within New South Wales or overseas, them influencing young sports people to engage in conduct that you would like to think is abhorrent, to their own code of ethics. But we would like to state that there is no evidence that there is other players involved from other clubs. We took action today because we were concerned that the principals involved in this matter would have left our shores in the coming days and weeks, and that's what brought us to take the action as quickly as we wished.
How difficult is it, given that there's betting markets on so many different things now, not just the major sporting codes, how difficult is it for police not only to look for organised crime in Australia but as overseas as well, to find places where there is this level of corruption or manipulation?
Whilst I agree there's a high level of temptation that criminals will try and request young players to engage in criminal activities, we are confident that the vast majority of young people engaged in sport are not undertaking criminal work for organised crime figures.
And I suppose just on that, obviously we've identified it in this instance, and what it's shown is the importance of having specialised police who actually do investigate this crime type. We have a number of detectives and analysts, and this is exactly what they do all day, every day. They're extremely good at what they do. They have extremely good network of agencies and people that they work with around the world, such as the United Kingdom Gambling Commission, and we rely heavily on those networks and those relationships. We're going to go a step further now. We've engaged the New South Wales Crime Commission in relation to looking at the finances of these people. I think it's important to understand that this isn't a matter of luck by the New South Wales Police stumbling onto it. We have a squad that specifically looks at this stuff, a team of specialised detectives and analysts, and we work closely with the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, Sports Integrity Australia. We've been working with them throughout this whole process. We're now working with the governing bodies of football in Australia, and they're very accommodating. So it's the network of people and agencies working together that we're confident we do identify this type of activity.
But there are no other sports being investigated at the moment. You said no other clubs in A-League, but no other sports currently being investigated in Australia.
Look, this unit, this is essentially what they do. So obviously there's always suspicion around sports. They are looking at a number of other investigations, not specifically to football or soccer, but we're always looking at what could be corrupt or criminal behaviour within sport.
And that's why the warning I gave to these young players, that there is a professional body of police who are investigating these type of offences. Thank you very much.